Welcome to Mind Harmony Lab. We interpret Western spirituality and philosophy from a unique Eastern perspective. This is not theology, not history, and not religious doctrine. I don't read the Bible through rigid rules or religious dogma. Instead, I interpret Genesis from an Eastern perspective, calm, simple, intuitive, and centered on the truth of inner consciousness. The Bible is far more than a religious book or ancient stories. It is a spiritual blueprint. It reveals how consciousness takes form, develops self-awareness, and ultimately returns to its divine origin. Traditional Western biblical interpretation is often narrow and doctrinal. It separates people from their divine source, leaving the mind divided and the spirit empty. This is the flaw of literal Bible reading. Religion focuses too much on outer faith, rituals, and outward obedience. But all outer searching only proves one thing: we've lost touch with the divinity within us. When you settle into your true inner nature, you don't need forced belief. All spiritual seeking arises only from inner separation and inner emptiness. Religious teachings cannot calm your restlessness, heal inner wounds, or fill the void in your soul. They offer doctrines, rituals, and temporary comfort, but no true awakening, no inner transformation, and no real spiritual homecoming. They explain God, yet fail to help you rediscover yourself. This series takes a different approach. I view Genesis as symbolic spiritual wisdom, not literal history or law. True spiritual awakening follows a natural, organic cycle: formless divine origin, subtle conscious emergence, the birth of self-awareness, transcendence of illusion, and final return to wholeness. Understanding this cycle reveals three core truths. There is one universal consciousness, one unchanging divine source, and one authentic true self within you. This realization clears inner confusion, calms your mind, and unlocks the infinite potential of human consciousness. This is not religious teaching. It simply reconnects you with the divine nature you've always possessed. This is not theology. This is homecoming, moving from blind belief to inner knowing, from outer searching to inner realization, from lack to inherent divine fullness. Most people misunderstand Genesis by reading it literally, and this single mistake skews their entire spiritual journey. They picture God as an external being who built the world in 7 physical days. They take the beginning as a material starting point, heaven and earth as physical realms, darkness as pure evil, and primordial waters as ordinary matter. This literal view reduces sacred wisdom to mundane history and religious rules. It creates distance between you and the divine, fosters passive faith, and leaves your spirit empty. Most human spiritual pain stems from this simple misinterpretation. Let's set aside literal thinking. God is formless, universal consciousness, the one source of all life. The 7-day creation is not a historical record. It is an eternal, repeating inner cycle. Consciousness projects outward into form, then returns to pure divine purity. These are not literal 24-hour days. They symbolize the complete inner journey every human being experiences. True biblical rest is not physical relaxation. It means stopping outer chasing and letting your soul return to its divine origin. This cycle plays out in every single moment. Time itself is an illusion of the surface mind. In true awareness, every thought and every inner shift completes a small cycle of creation and homecoming. Genesis does not describe the outer physical world. It reveals the inner law of consciousness. The formless source stirs into expression, creates experiential form, and finally releases all manifestation to return to pure peace. We start at the eternal, formless divine state. As Scripture opens, In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. This is the state before all creation. Formless and empty describes pure consciousness with no shape, boundary, or material trait. The deep represents endless divine potential. The hovering spirit means divinity is everywhere, fully present in all potential, yet never confined by it. This is pure purity, complete, steady, whole, and free of all inner division. From this pure, formless divine state comes the first spark of conscious projection. God spoke the foundational creative word, "Let there be light." This light is not physical brightness. Awareness itself is eternal and unchanging, whether form manifests or not. This light is the first outward projection of consciousness, the start of manifestation, where pure awareness begins to mirror and build a dimensional inner world. Before this moment, consciousness rests in peace, complete and only aware of its purest formless self. Light is the first gentle movement of projective knowing. It clears inner blindness and lets consciousness mirror distinct experience. God saw that the light was good and separated light from darkness. Here, light means active projective awareness, and darkness means unmanifest, undifferentiated divine purity. This is the true meaning of the first day of inner creation. Next comes the birth of inner conscious boundary. As Scripture says, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water." This is not a physical sky. It is the first subtle boundary of consciousness, creating a distinct inner space and the faint sense of a separate self. Before this stage, consciousness exists as one undivided whole, with no inside, no outside, and no separation. The upper waters represent the formless divine origin. The lower waters represent emerging inner experience. For the first time, awareness distinguishes observer from what is perceived. Day 1 gives consciousness sight. Day 2 gives consciousness individual inner space to exist within. As inner space stabilizes, consciousness builds a structured inner world. God ordered scattered potential into form. Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear. Land and sea symbolize stabilized inner perception, bringing order to previously scattered mental activity. Next, consciousness generates layered inner experience. Let the land produce vegetation. Vegetation represents endless thoughts, feelings, and worldly perceptions that layer continuously, letting consciousness construct a solid, dimensional experiential world. This is ordinary human consciousness, constant, active mental movement that shapes and defines our perceived reality. God saw that it was good. This structured inner field becomes the foundation of all human experience. Once the inner world solidifies, consciousness creates the framework of time and rhythm. God established sequential order. Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night. The sun, moon, and stars are not outer celestial objects. They're inner rhythmic structures, alternating awareness and rest, and forming the layers of past, present, and future. Time is never external. It is a mental structure projected by consciousness to organize inner experience. With time established, the full layered structure of consciousness is complete. God awakened the full spectrum of inner life with the words, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth." Sea creatures represent the hidden, subconscious emotional movements beneath the surface, the invisible layer of our inner world. Birds represent visible, active surface thinking and logical reasoning. Here, consciousness begins to have both hidden depth and visible expression. At this stage, the inner world is fully layered and alive. Deep subconscious emotions and clear logical thoughts interact and expand, covering the full dimension of human consciousness. Your complete inner system is now fully activated and functional. Finally, consciousness fully solidifies individual selfhood. The sacred creative voice defines human essence. Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. Land creatures shape your unique personality, habits, and worldly temperament. Being made in God's image means formless divine spirit condenses into your individual self, granting you the ability to feel, think, and experience life uniquely. Your everyday sense of I am is the final stage of inner creation. God blessed this complete self-expression, and all that was formed was very good. Then comes the sacred seventh day, the completion of the entire cycle. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he had been doing, so on the seventh day he rested. This rest is not inactivity. It is completion, release, and spiritual homecoming. The first 6 days trace consciousness's outward journey, from pure divine purity to awareness, inner space, time, thought, emotion, and individual self. The seventh day is the return. After fully building the inner world of form and self, you realize all forms, thoughts, and individual identity are temporary conscious projections. When you release attachment to form, division and illusion fade away, and consciousness returns to its original wholeness. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, for it is the return to unchanging divine peace. This is the perfect spiritual cycle. Divine source unfolds into form, then transcends form to return to pure origin. Genesis is not just an ancient story. It is a living truth active in every present moment. This 7-day cycle reoccurs endlessly within you. Consciousness expands into experiential form, then contracts back to divine purity. Eastern wisdom holds one simple, vital question. Do you truly realize this within yourself? This is not intellectual knowledge. It is direct inner realization. Let go of rigid doctrines and speculation. See the truth clearly. All form arises from divine purity, and all form returns to divine purity. Stop searching outwardly. Turn inward and find your true truth. This series guides sincere seekers out of confusion and inner lack, back to their inherent divine nature. May every awakened soul break free from the false self and illusory forms, remember its divine wholeness, and abide in eternal, unshakable inner freedom. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. If today's conversation resonated with you, follow and subscribe to Mind Harmony Lab. We explore Western spiritual and philosophical ideas through an Eastern perspective, for every viewpoint holds unique wisdom. Different perspectives inspire and complement one another, helping us clear confusion, release inner suffering, and reconnect with our pure, authentic, whole self that always lives within us. See you in the next episode.